American Giant makes great clothing, sweatshirts, jeans, and more right here in the U.S. Visit American-Giant.com and get 20% off your first order with code STAPLE20. That's 20% off your first order at American-Giant.com, code STAPLE20.
Empire.
Hello and welcome to my podcast. Do me a favor, subscribe to the John Conn Report wherever you get your podcasts. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. You can find us there as part of Empire Media, AMPIRE. Always much appreciated when you tune in. Don't forget you can read my work on ESPN.com. I'll have a story up on Tuesday about the Commanders' run game and why it works so well no matter right now who is in there. Austin Ekeler misses a game against the Cardinals. Jeremy McNichols goes in and does the job. Brian Robinson misses Sunday. Chris Rodriguez comes in and does a job. There's a lot of factors that go into the run game, and there are a lot of things that are working right for them. So anyways, up on ESPN.com. And as a reminder, Bram Weinstein, the voice of the Commanders, and I will be doing a live stream show Tuesday night, 7:30 Eastern time. I don't know if there's anything else going on Tuesday, but maybe if you want to get away from something else going on Tuesday, join us for the live stream because the only votes will be taken. It'll be on Jayden Daniels and the MVP candidacy. So there you go. I hope you join us for that because there's a lot of good things to talk about with this team. A lot of things going right and a few things that still need to be fixed. Also, trade deadline is tomorrow at 4 p.m. Will the Commanders make any moves? We'll talk about it one way or another. So join us for that. And also for you club members, if you want to become a club member, go to the Empire Media YouTube page, see the word join, click on that, go from there. Last week, I had a couple of nuggets for the club members, talked about Cliff Kingsbury and his future in Washington, like beyond this year. Like, is there any worry or whatever about him leaving or just his situation? Explaining his situation maybe a little bit better for those who wonder about what his future might be in Washington, given the success of the offense through 9 games. And also talked about the trade deadline, little things that you're kind of hearing, and just some of my thoughts on that, which kind of said a few things over the last week or so. In a nutshell, I think if they do anything, it's going to be bargain shopping, but we'll see because Adam Peters doesn't say a whole lot, isn't telling people a whole lot, and it's really a lot of detective work to try and piece anything together. But what you do know is they're very cognizant of their future cap space and their future draft picks because that's how they want to build. Anyways, but we'll talk about all that Tuesday night at the live stream show. So a couple things that I just wanted to go over with this game review, and I'm doing a little bit different. I'm going to do a play of the game, drive of the game, and then a couple spotlight players. So let's start with some of the, let's go to the right away. I'm going to get the spotlight players are going to be Johnny Newton, Brandon Coleman, Chris Rodriguez. I will say Jeremy Chinn had a terrific game, and I think he deserves a lot of credit because he continues to me each week to get a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better. And I think it's culminating in him playing faster and reacting a lot quicker. And he's making plays. He made some plays against the tight ends in coverage. That was good for them to see. Very communicative back in the secondary. And this is one thing that comes up with a lot of players here, but Jeremy Chinn is doing it too. So that's a key part too, but he deserves props. So we're going to go on some of the other guys because just for whatever reason. But I'm going to start with the play of the game. And there are probably a couple because you could look at some of the plays and some of the throws that Jayden Daniels made. Had another very good game. The kid is just really good. So there we go. But the play of the game to me is Dante Fowler's the fumble. So, and you may disagree. If you disagree, if you had another play of the game of your own, drop it in the comments because I am curious to see what others thought because to me, this was the play of the game because of how it changed so much about that first half. And you have Fowler. First of all, the Giants are setting up a screen. They're just killing Washington on the ground. They're at the Washington 29-yard line, clearly moving in for points, just controlling them on the ground. And then they're setting up a screen, and they're setting up to Devin Singletary, and it could be a big gain. But Dante Fowler gets around the left tackle that he was terrible. Not Fowler, the tackle. And he's a backup to Andrew Thomas. So that was, but Fowler gets his hands off him really quick, just turns a corner and strips the ball. He knocks Daniel Jones' arm before, because it looked like initially that his arm was coming forward and you thought that Fedarian Mathis drops a certain interception. And the replay was clear that he knocked the ball out before Jones's arm was coming forward. And it's important for a couple of reasons. One, if you look at the screen that they're setting up, there was a chance that could have been a really big play. So if not ending up in points, it would have set up a certain field goal at the very least. Now, the Giants had 3 linemen out on the perimeter and Singletary out there. One of the linemen, though, for the Giants had his back for some reason to the defense looking at the play. I don't know what he was doing. Maybe he heard something. I don't know. But the only reason I bring that up because Bobby Wagner would have been a guy that would have had a shot at Singletary because that lineman was not looking downfield. So Wagner maybe gets Singletary, but if he doesn't, it's a very long gain. And it was not a guarantee that he would have gotten to him. So that could have been a long gain. So first of all, Fowler's play, if nothing else, takes away a chance for a long gain and almost certain points at some point in that drive. Then what, of course, it does is it gets the ball to Washington and it provides the offense with a short field. The game was 0-0 at that time. Washington takes over at 35. The Commanders go in and score on the touchdown pass to Terry McLaurin, 7-0. That's the kind of play that would go against them in the past in the Meadowlands. It did not here. That's why, to me, it's play the game. It changes things around. It changed the feel of the game. Yeah, the Giants were moving the ball, but you had a guy make a big play, changed field position, took away points, provided points, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So got Washington started in the right direction. And from there, the Giants were in a hole. And that, to me, was it. So there you go. So now the drive of the game, there's 2 of them that you could easily go. So I'm curious to see what you think is the drive of the game. So if you think it was one of the ones I don't say, then there you go. But the 2 that I would nominate would be the one to clinch, to run out the clock in the final minute. The Giants cut the game to 5. Washington gets all the way down to inside the 5. And listen, we know they could have scored on that. I think it was down to the 2-yard line. Down to the 2-yard line. Easily could have scored. They could have scored if they wanted to, took the knee. That's the smart play, run out the clock. But it was a very good drive because let's see, where did they start? Started at their own 30-yard line, and then they move all the way down there. But the key play was the great play call. 2:05 left in the half. You know that the clock's going to stop regardless. So you call a pass, and it ends up to be a 42-yard, I think it was 2nd and 9, 42-yard pass play to Olamide Zaccheaus. Daniels with a good play action fake, half roll to the right, throws back to the left. On the play, you had Chris Rodriguez, bumps Ojulari, the defensive end, after the fake, and then swings out to the flat. By swinging out to the flat, it diverts the attention of one of the defensive backs, starts coming up a little bit, creates a little bit more separation for Zaccheaus. Big gain, 42 yards, huge play. But the drive I'm going with is a drive at the end of the half. So you tell me which one you like better. One thing I will say, it's not a surprise that Jayden Daniels does well in those situations. I'm going to read you a stat that I tweeted out earlier. So in the last 4 minutes of the game, Jayden Daniels has an NFL best 97.5 quarterback rating. He ranks 2nd in completion percentage in that point at 87.5, tied for 4th with 2 touchdowns in those situations. In the last 4 minutes of the first half, Daniels is tied for 3rd with 4 touchdowns, ranks 1st in QBR at 97.4, and 2nd in completion percentage at 79.5. In other words, he excels in these situations. No surprise, this team worked a ton on situational football throughout the summer, a lot of situational work. So anyways, the reason I like this drive is because it required 2 fantastic throws by Daniels, a terrific catch and run by Dyami Brown. So a lot of good things and a tough 4th down and 1 run by Austin Ekeler. So that's why I'm going with this one. Gives you points and a big lead. And so really, really good play. So 2nd 11 on the 85 to the pass to Noah Brown for 31 yards on the play. Jeremy McNichols chips the defensive end. This time it was Burns who was going up against Brandon Coleman. I'll get to him in a few minutes. And then you have Noah Brown running the deep crosser, but really good patience by Jayden Daniels again. He waits and then he sees the linebacker drop. And then he sees the linebacker turn his head. When you see him turn his head, you know he's not going to defend that pass because you can't see it. And there's nobody over the top that is a direct threat. So it takes an accurate throw, a very accurate throw, and he makes a very accurate throw, but he throws it with so much patience and poise. It's just really good. So that's a really good play. An accurate throw and a confident throw. That's what he makes all the time. 3rd down and 6, the hits to Zach Ertz. Now, the one thing on this play that I wondered about, and I would like to ask Ertz about this on when we see him during the week, Daniels throws him the ball to the outside. Usually that's the cue, the tip off for the receiver to turn to that side. He's throwing where he wants you to turn. Ertz turns it to the inside. If he turns it outside, he probably picks up the first down, turns it inside, leaves him a yard short. But that's where Austin Ekeler comes up, because he then runs a little bit. He runs off left guard. You have the guard and center blocking down. You have a tight end pulling over, what leaves a linebacker in the hole. And so Eckler's got to lower his shoulder and go. It's leg power, leg strength got him that first down, because he gets popped and he recovers. The leverage helps him, but that leg strength, he was able to drive forward enough to get the first down, a big run there. Then you have the 3rd down and 18 pass to Dyami Brown. I love this play because of what Dyami Brown showed. He stiff arms the defensive back at around the 39-yard line, runs all the way down to the 18-yard line. Now, so that was a really good job by Dyami Brown. Dyami Brown, I think, does just enough every game to really to provide a help to this team, right? Or at least, in multiple games, because whether it's some tough catch and runs on those screens or plays like that was just a really good play, a really good stiff arm. But what I also liked about this play is you watch Tyler Biadasz on this play. He's sprinting down the field. So you see Dyami Brown get tackled, and you know who's coming over? Number 63 to get the ball, to go give it to the refs, to place it to place it on the line so they can get up there and spike the ball if they have to. Now, they ended up taking a timeout, but I love the awareness by Biadasz to go up and do that. But just watch number 63 running down there. Just a very smart, heady play. But again, they had the timeout and they took the timeout, but I don't care. I just like where his thought process was at. So that was really good.
Hey, it's Bram Weinstein here, voice of the Commanders, and of course, frequent guest of this podcast, the John Keim Report. I wanted to let you all know that my show, which airs at 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. on ESPN 630, is now exclusively produced by Empire Media, my company, and is going to be distributed through our network. So I'm asking you, please, if you subscribe to this show and love this show, give mine a try as well. Subscribe to the Bram Weinstein Show wherever you get your podcasts, and many of the shows and many of the elements that are in the show will be available on the Empire Media YouTube channel. We're going to talk a ton of Commanders and other DC sports. Check it out.
And then you have the touchdown after that, right after that. The touchdown, the pass to McLaurin, really good job there. And this time it was McCaffrey chipping the defensive end. So I bring it up, different guys who were chipping that defensive end, and they all did a really good job. And then, of course, you have the perfect throw, another perfect throw from Jaden Daniels to Terry McLaurin. And this one was always going to be a go route. As soon as he stems inside, as soon as he stems, then you have Daniels throwing the pass. And just a perfect ball and a touchdown. And but again, you see the poise that he plays with in those situations, and it's why Washington does a good job there. So anyways, that was my drive of the game. If you have a different, leave a comment and we'll see what it is. Also then now a spotlight, real quick on Chris Rodriguez. Just a nice job coming in. He didn't practice that much, he's not getting reps a lot, right? And Robinson was limited during the week, and you're not going to get a lot of reps. So for him to go in there and execute the way he did, I think speaks volumes. But he also had the reason I wanted to bring him up is he had a key block on a 3rd and 1 to Ben Sinnott. If you remember, you have Brian Burns coming free because the tackle's blocking down Coleman, and he just comes up and he cuts Brian Burns. Now Burns does not go to the ground. He kind of spins off him, rolls over. But it was a hell of an attempt, a hell of a block by Rodriguez, and it's all he needed to do. And so he cleared a passing alley for Daniels to hit Ben Sinnott, but just a really good block there. So for all the other stuff that was going on, good 11 carries, 52 yards, blah, 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 that block to me was a big key. And you saw multiple times where those blocks did a good job. I think the backs did a good job in protection. So the other one, Brandon Coleman, really liked what he showed. Now they gave him, this is smart coaching. This is not because it's just, you have 2 really good defensive ends. They hurt you in the first game, provide help. And Kingsbury did a lot of chips, a lot of chips, a lot of chips. But Coleman was also left one-on-one enough times to really test himself. And every time he passed, his footwork was so good that I think they should be really encouraged by what he showed, because it was consistent footwork throughout. Whenever he was left one-on-one with Burns, sometimes you might get a chip. He's still going to be after the chip. You're going to be one-on-one. You're just in a better spot to absorb. But even when he wasn't, you could see the feet moving and him staying with him all the time. So just a really good job by the rookie. And then speaking of the other rookies, it's Johnny Newton. So Johnny Newton, and I'm bringing him up because the defense against the run did better in the second half, much better. Like, that first half was abominable, but they made some subtle changes in the second half that I think made a big difference. And in what it did, you saw a lot of double teams in the first half on Newton and Payne, and that didn't help. Well, in the second half, you didn't see quite as many because I think some of the changes that Washington made. And I'm going to go over there and I highlight Johnny Newton because I think he was so active in the second half. Now, we know there's some other issues the defense has to take care of, and this is something, can they address them at the trade deadline by getting another corner in there? I don't know. And would you get the corner that you're really going to need to be able to move forward? I don't know. That will be difficult. So, but anyways, that'll be a topic for tomorrow as well. So there were issues. It's not saying that the defense got everything solved in the second half, because the Giants still moved the ball and they were moving it through the air. Key third downs are converting through the air because the coverage wasn't good enough. And but I felt like Johnny Newton continues to show why they drafted him and why the more he plays, the bigger of a pain in the ass he's going to be for opposing offenses. So in the second half, so some of the things they did a little bit differently, they had sometimes the ends would slant inside or cut inside the tight end. You saw Dorrance Armstrong doing that a couple of times with just like a last second shift, diving inside the tight end and creating some problems in the backfield right away. You would see Johnny Newton lining up sometimes as a 3 technique, and rather than attacking the guard or the center, he's looping, he attacks the tackle and just gets outside the tackle and cuts over, and it takes away the double team. And because you saw it a couple times, and I'll go over those, but just created more one-on-one chances for the defensive tackles. And I just really think that Newton was so active in that second half that it was really good for them. There was one time on a 0-yard gain that both Newton and Payne combined on, but on that play, you had Newton as a 3 technique, again, gets around the left tackle, but just a quick getting around, because he kind of shoots outside there right away. The guard, it kind of looks like he's like he was going to anticipating to make at least step over to nudge into Newton. Well, he couldn't do that. So it kind of hesitated, and it creates a better chance for the linebackers to get up in there and fill that gap. But Newton gets around, and also on the same play, you had Dorrance Armstrong rushing upfield, but also Frankie Louvu looping that end. So you created a one-on-one with the guard with Daron Payne. He beats the guard. Newton gets around. They combined for 0 yards, but it was, that was just a good job by them. And then there was a 3-yard run in which the run goes out to the outside to the left of Washington's defense. So you had Newton slanting inside, or slanting to, obviously going to slant that way, where the center kind of leans on him and he just kind of shoves him. Well, Newton kind of stumbles, recovers, and they did a good job stringing it out. He gets in the play, tackles the guy for only a 3-yard gain, but just good effort there. And then there's another time, a 1-yard gain where he holds his ground in a 1-on-1, and Wagner comes up. So this is a combo effort, because it was Wagner coming up. You have Armstrong slanting inside, getting inside the tight end. You had Newton with a 1-on-1 on his block. They all basically combined to make that a 1-yard stop. So Wagner forces the guy back. Louvu's in the hole, but all those other guys did their job so Louvu could eat, and he did. And so, like, you saw better play in the second half from that. But again, sometimes it was just a matter of, it was positioning. It was just a little bit more movement up front. And I think that's why they did better in the second half. But to me, Newton is a guy to watch, because you want to know how this defense can get better. It's guys like that. He can become a playmaker. There were a number of times in the past game where the 4th and 2, they're trying to run like a little stunt where he cuts up, he's so quick, but he gets into the tackle on the stunt and just immediately turns upfield. There's not there's enough of a gap for him to squeeze through where he's in Daniel Jones' face. Unfortunately for Washington, he completes it for a 2-yard pass. But it was the effort by Newton made it more difficult. But also, I think the more you have that kind of an effort and that kind of a showing, the more likely it is you're going to start making more plays. And so I think that was something good for them to see. And I just really like the play of the defensive ends, Armstrong and then Fowler in particular in that one. But still got to shore some things up in the secondary. We know that, and that's going to be for another day. But I felt like, they got hurt on those quarterback keepers, and I felt like there was a trickle-down effect for even when Jones doesn't run, that there was hesitation. There was some bad play to me, with the discipline, with covering that run, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So there were issues with that, but in the second half, they did a much better job. But Johnny Newton to me was one of the keys for that, and then some coaching adjustments. Anyways, folks, that's it. I'm wrapping this one up. I know I usually go longer. I'm trying to go shorter on those, but hopefully still give you some information about things that picked up rewatching the game. And I'll be doing that, later in the week. I'm going to pick up some other stuff, and I'll talk about that for my 5 things I think for Saturday, because this is a big week facing a Steelers team at home. And, there you go. And for the private Zoom, I think right now I'm going to be doing it Thursday for you Gold members. But I'll leave you a note on one of the other podcasts, so when I know for sure. But anyways, again, 7:30 live stream Tuesday night with Bram Weinstein, the voice of the Commanders, and join me there and let me know in the comments if you agree with the play of the game and then the drive of the game. So that's it, folks. I'll be back Tuesday night. Talk to you next time.